All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Cloud Native Coffee Hour. I'm your host, Dan Makita. With me today, I have my trusty and always faithful companions. I have the agile and strong Sam Delamarter and the crafty and handsome Dan McCracken with me.
Okay. This is a better start. I'm not tilted anymore.
Good start so far.
So today, our topic is Docker Desktop. It's changing its licensing. It is changing the licensing, and what does that mean, right? What does that mean to you? Do you need to uninstall it? What can you change to? And so that's the topic. And Sam and Dan have both been looking into that. That's my intro. So what do you guys think? How do you want to kick it off?
Well, I would say Sam's been looking into it. I watched a YouTube video. Sam, what would you say?
I read one article.
There you go.
So we're professionals. But I can take it over if you want to share my screen. The terms of service changed a long time ago, and went into effect back in August, but there was a grace period. So if everyone can see my screen, thumbs up. That went into effect, and what it basically covers is if you are on a large enterprise team that makes more than 10 million in revenue a year, you're not supposed to use it. It's always free for educational use and a couple other things. Technically, I think we can still use it for stuff like the stream, but I'm trying to figure out, as a cloud native engineer, what do I do to test my stuff locally on my machine? One of the clients we're working on right now, I'm on a Windows machine with somewhat limited rights to make changes on my computer. So it's kind of been a struggle. So I don't exactly have the best answer yet, but I can share what I've gone through so far, which was reading this one article, Goodbye Docker Desktop, Hello Minikube. We used to use Minikube all the time.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago, like 5 years ago. We used to use it all the time.
Minikube was the OG. Yeah, I loved it. I used it for everything. Loved it.
And it was great. Like, it gives you so much. And then, we kind of moved away from that. We were using the Fabricate plugin for Java projects, and that would, using Docker Desktop, or we'll get into it, just any Docker daemon, that would kind of, build your code and create a container and run it all for you, just one command line, which still is great for local development. So I found this article, and it got me thinking about what we used to do. One of the furl commands. So furl was a development tool that Dan Makita wrote for when we were all back working at Spectrum. And it sets the environment variables to use the Docker CLI with the Docker daemon that's in Minikube instead of Docker Desktop. And so what this article walks you through basically is uninstalling Docker Desktop, which is the portion that the terms of service kind of prohibits. It's just Docker Desktop. It's not Docker. You can still use the Docker CLI to, create an image from a Docker file, run an image as a container. That's fine. It's just specifically the Docker Desktop. And so it kind of talks about this. You have to make sure you have Hyperkit installed. And so it walks you through uninstalling it. I've already done it. I should have reinstalled it for the demo, because it's super easy. But you can see no Docker Desktop. If I go over to my terminal and I do Docker images, I don't have a Docker daemon that's running. And then I believe Minikube was also just, So if you're on Mac, it's super easy. Brew install Minikube. I didn't have it installed because it's a somewhat newer machine, and honestly, for a lot of things, I just gotten in the habit of testing the container, because I don't.
Well, we have we have our own clusters now too. I mean, we have real clusters.
Right. That's the other thing. Yeah. Yeah. It's so easy now. Like I just haven't. I don't know. I haven't run a cluster locally, and like before, I had been doing stuff, but it all kind of revolved around having Docker desktop, like Kubernetes and Docker. I think the K3D or whatever the like local installation of K3S that Rancher has out there also relied on having some sort of Docker desktop. But yeah, brew install minikube, and I probably should have started it by now, but see how long it takes to start up. And the article kind of highlights it, but it'll use that HyperKit driver. If you have Docker Desktop installed and you start Minikube, by default it points at Docker Desktop for the registries and stuff. So you want to make sure you uninstall it first and then start up Minikube. Set a couple things to make sure it doesn't run out of memory. I also remember that from Furl. That was one of the things, right, that it did, was set the memory configs and stuff. Yeah, there were so many cool things there. I was like, holy cow, that was so long ago, but that was so cool that we did that. We wrapped that for people.
The code base is still out there.
Yeah. We should go through that sometime just for fun. Yeah, I wonder when the first commit was. It was a while ago.
Oh shit! I don't. I mean, I don't know. I kind of. I mean, the final version I pushed up to GitHub, but all the iterations we did personally.
Right.
I wasn't committing to GitHub, but anyways.
Yeah. Okay. So now I have it. I do still have to do the one command. Yeah, so furl env I think was what we had wrapped around this. But minikube docker env, if you evaluate that, and of course I'm a fish enjoyer, so I'm gonna get rid of the $sign. So now I'm hooked up, and we can see if I do Docker images, you can see all the Kubernetes related ones because I'm pointing at minikube and it's pulling those down. But I like this option as a replacement for Docker Desktop just because you can keep the Docker CLI. It seems fairly comparable as far as like, Docker Desktop. Whenever you're running that, it seems to take up a lot of CPU and make your fan spin, and Minikube definitely does that. So it's not smaller or lighter weight, which would be great. But as far as like a drop-in replacement for people that don't want to spend too much time figuring out the best way, they just want to get by without violating the terms of service, it seems like a decent way to go. I don't know, what are you guys' thoughts?
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I love it when my computer sounds like it's going to take off. I think that's a sign that you're doing it right. Using all the bits, and yeah, you're it's running if your fan is blowing hard.
I love it for certain use cases. I mean, I guess what I mean by that is, I think it's great having Kubernetes there available to you. I think it gives you just another tool that you can just kind of tap into to validate your service, but it also is predicated on the fact that you're using Kubernetes, right? So if you're not using Kubernetes at all, you're just working with Docker, it is very, very heavy. It's going to suck your battery. I know if you don't turn off Docker and you go on battery for a while, that thing dies quick.
Yeah.
But it is very easy. Yeah, once you get the two things installed, it's literally just a Minikube start and then eval. And you're good.
Yeah, I don't love having to run a Kubernetes cluster in order to use Docker stuff. And I'm going to show some stuff on my machine in a little bit, and I also don't love it for the same reason.
Yeah.
Feel like it should be lighter. But I guess, even Docker Desktop has a footprint, but maybe we'll get into, we'll see where this conversation goes today.
Yeah. Because really, like, there's
I mean,
two things I'm kind of looking for, like the optimal solution where I'm not limited to Windows and admin rights, making requests to make sure the executable can run and stuff. So I don't know. I'm with you on that.
I mean, something that I don't think have a demo for on the stream. I guess before we move over to your examples, Dan, is the WSL. I mean, if you're on Windows, WSL, right?
That capability, if your enterprise lets
Or if your enterprise lets you, right? Which a lot of enterprises lock down their computers and don't allow that. The other option that is probably more old school is VirtualBox. Just running a Linux machine. Because I mean, that's the lightweight solution we're looking for, right? We're just looking for the container interface to run natively on Mac and or Windows. But that always comes with virtualization today, so that's why it's so heavy.
Yeah.
So I mean, even running WSL, it's a solution, but you're still running an entire Ubuntu VM or whatever operating system you choose.
Yeah.
All right, McCracken, what do you got? You have an alternative to the minikube.
You guys know me all too well. So, yeah, I have an alternative to minikube. If you know me at all, you'll know I'm addicted to YouTube. Like, I watch a lot of YouTube, like probably everybody, and never pay for ads. Always buy premium YouTube. Here's a YouTube ad for you, or a free advertisement. If you're not paying for YouTube, you are doing it wrong. It is the best money you can spend, in my opinion. But what do I know?
No, I will validate that statement. I'll validate that statement. Before we move on, my mother-in-law came over the other day, and she was trying to show us some stuff on YouTube, and she casted it to our Chromecast from her phone, and I had to watch ads for the first time in like 7-8 years or something. And I'm just like, what's happening? What is this? What's going on?
You just don't have time for it, and you hate to see it. It's just, you're doing it wrong, basically. It's the best use of you're doing it wrong. I watched this YouTube video of Victor Farsik, and I started following this channel. I highly recommend this channel, DevOps Toolkit. Victor Farsik is longtime DevOps engineering guy in industry, and he's on point. Like, he's mainstream guy. He's absolutely insane. So hello, Victor. Yes, I know you know that you're crazy. But he knows what he's talking about. And anyway, he did this video 3 months ago. So I've been sniffing this out for 3 months. I'm way ahead of the lawyers coming to knock down my door. They're never going to find me. I'm going to have it uninstalled. Long time ago. So you talk to Victor, and Victor's like, Rancher Desktop. I don't know. Is this even, are we going to get copy striked for like having Victor in here? He's like,
Nah, you're good.
I'll just leave this here.
We do have a new follower. I would like to call out Surfer Leet. Just followed us. Thank you for the follow.
Thank you, Surfer Leet.
And hi, Surfer. It's Surfer 1337. I've never heard it called Surfer Leet. We're not going to get off on that topic at the moment. Anyway, I watched this video. I highly recommend it. I can put it in the comments later. I'll put it in the show notes. Thank you. And he goes through how to install Rancher Desktop. And what it boils down to, Rancher Desktop. much like minikube, I'm pretty new to the Rancher ecosystem, but there is great promise in it. I've heard nothing but good stuff, and I'm fully on the hype train. Never been a major practitioner of it. What I've done so far, and we'll get into this, is that it feels just like minikube, except better. Say better. Ready? Throwing it down. It's like minikube, except better. It does make your machine take off into orbit, though. Like it's absolutely running a cluster. It just does it for you in the same way. There's just a GUI and more drop downs and whatever. We'll get into it. At any rate, you come in here. If you watch Victor's video, he'll say, click install Rancher Desktop. Takes you to GitHub. So you know you're on the dark web of GitHub here. And it's like, yeah, go here and download the DMG. Download the 64-bit DMG. That's what I did earlier today. You run that guy. It installs a Rancher Desktop. I've already installed it. Thank you, Rancher Desktop. Let's take a look. It's closed right now. Let's see what happens. Already, it's checking K3s images. It is starting the virtual machine. And it basically just turns on Kubernetes for you. By default, it is just installing 1.22.5. Container runtime, container D. Now we're talking. So I think this, and I don't think this is going to be a deep dive in like what's going on with these container runtimes, but like, because Docker uses container D at some level, right? Docker Desktop, right?
Yep, it does.
And so Rancher Desktop does not use Docker, just uses container D.
It looks like you can select it, right?
Or you could. Thank you.
If you want to be small brain and just keep using Docker, there's an option.
Now, this Docker isn't the part that is illegal. Let's
Correct.
just call.
Yes.
Let's get the branding right. Docker is now illegal starting February 1st.
Uh-huh.
And container D is legal. No, that's not the case. That'll get us a lot of clicks though. So we should put that.
Uh-huh.
Docker illegal? Snap it.
The YouTube title.
I actually love that. I actually love it.
So if you didn't know, I'm a YouTube personality. I watch a lot of YouTube, so I turn into the people. At any rate, we could say something like, you could say something preposterous. I mean, even Victor didn't say something so preposterous. At any rate, so uses container D, clicky. I've got a decent Mac here. It's got 16 gig. We're good to go. Supporting utilities. Here's the next pieces here. And this is where I do have a demo. It's really nice. It will create symlinks to Docker. I don't know what it's doing here, but it knows that I have Docker already installed, and I think it maybe does install Docker CLI. I don't know. Helm, it picked up that I already have an old version of Helm. Don't look at that. It's still Helm 3, so get off it. I don't know what Kim is. So in the chat, if anybody wants to be huge brain, tell me what Kim is. KubeCuddle, I've got 117. It saw, so it notes that it's so smart. It checks your bin and is like, hey, you're already managing these from brew, so I'm not going to try and install it for you. But if I wasn't, it handles that, and that's pretty big brain. I like that a lot. But the last option here is nerdctl. In Victor's video, he goes into it and knows a lot more about it. nerdctl. It's pretty good branding because it's like nerdctl. Come on, really? We do kubectl, but no, nerdctl. And because let's check this out. I've done about 0 preparation on this for this demo, but I've got just taking a look at the see how clean this is. Oh yeah, let's check this out. Boom. Okay, cool. So if I do a git nodes, my terminal is already set to look at Rancher Desktop.
Could you zoom in a little bit, Dan?
I'm working on it. More? Oh,
That
never
looks
mind.
better.
I see. We have our fans. Yes. Cube cuddle. Get pods. Nothing. Get pods dash A. Stuff. Control planes running. It looks like K3S. Looks like our cluster because it's literally K3S running from Rancher desktop. Pretty cool. just like minikube. Awesome. And this is not to talk about one or the other here. So, Cube Cuddle, Nerd CTL. Do we have a version? Okay, cool. We have Nerd Cuddle. I don't know if it's Nerd Cuddle or Nerd CTL. I'm gonna. I never said.
I like Nerd Cuddle.
Uh-huh.
Cuddle the nerds.
I know. I don't want to encourage you too much to do this. So
I know I'll take it too far.
yeah. So just like you would run Docker commands. Now, okay, good. Notice my Docker is not running. Now, did I turn off Docker desktop?
You did.
Did I do that intentionally? Maybe I did that beforehand. Anyway, you can clearly see I don't have a Docker, but I do have a Nerd CTL. Nerd CTL. How do you do all? Maybe I don't have any. Nerd CTL images. So in the same dash A. It's been a minute. Look at this demo.
This is a good demo.
Watch this. Oh, don't know what to do? Try the help. Try the help.
Exactly. Yep.
It's dash lowercase a. What's up? Unimplemented.
Unimplemented.
Always true.
Nice.
Thanks, help. Okay, well, nerd. So let's pretend that I'm tempted to just alias nerdctl over Docker. So what I've seen, I don't know if Victor does this, but a bunch of the other people on the internet that are huge brain, very smart, they'll be like, yeah, if you're always you're so used to running Docker commands, just alias nerdctl to Docker because they're all the same.
Uh-huh.
It's basically the exact same container interface stuff, just called Nerd Cuddle instead.
Nerdctl pulled busybox. There it is.
There she is. There they are.
You could run it.
Whatever the tag is. Okay.
Space dash sh.
Docker run
Busybox.
busybox.
Space dash space sh.
That's interesting. Is it double?
Maybe busybox doesn't have a bash.
Dash IT.
So
Oh yeah.
Boom. There it is. Cool.
Dash.
It's cool.
For never having to for very rarely doing that, I think we pulled it together pretty quick.
Yeah. Can we look at that real quick? I guess when we go back out of here, explain it to the audience what the command was doing.
Fuck you. Sorry.
So we're running Nerd Cuddle. Nerd Cuddle run dash IT run it is awesome.
Yeah, run it. It's interactive something.
What does it stand? What does it actually stand for?
Checking.
Dash I and dash T probably.
T
TTY.
is TTY, and I is interactive mode. Yeah.
But basically, you do that when you want to launch
Run it.
into the container you're running.
When you
Right.
want to run it. Yeah, let's do like that. So nerdcuddle run it starts up the container of a busybox image, and then executes the command after the dash dash. And in this case, I gave it df-h, and then the container shuts down. If we just run if we run shell, the container doesn't shut down, stays running for us, and then we can do a bunch of things. Is top in here? Look at top is even in busybox.
Very cool.
So for all practical purposes, though, getting back to the topic of the stream, this is almost identical to the minikube solution, right? So this is like actually spinning up Kubernetes, but Rancher's version of it.
Yes. Okay. And what I would really like, based on what you guys were talking about with minikube, and especially when I think back to the old days and your machine really taking off, it would be awesome if I could have a container runtime, super lightweight, and I think we'll find the solution, but it'd be nice if it was super lightweight and wasn't having to run Kubernetes as the solution. I'm sure that exists. I don't have that on lockdown today, but maybe we can explore that on the stream, because that's what we use this time for learning, right? But yes, both of these solutions will replace your need for Docker Desktop. Period. You don't need Docker Desktop anymore. Two viable solutions. Next question. No. Slab says first try, every try.
Yeah, so I know when I mentioned this, I was talking with Scott, and he mentioned, wouldn't it be nice if Podman worked on Windows? Because Podman is daemonless, so I feel like that would be the ultra lightweight. I did start to look and see if there's like Podman on WSL, but I know I can't use it on my Windows machine.
You can install Podman into Minikube, but that doesn't help.
Right. I know. I started going down that route too. I was like, well, I could just, but then I'm like, I guess that defeats the purpose.
I don't know much about Podman.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like, when we were really getting into it, it was just starting. It was new. We saw some demos that were really cool. But as far as like the ease of use and the enterprise use case, where it's like, we might be super into it, but there's a reason we wrote Furl, and there was a reason we made it easier for other people. And it seemed like maybe too much of a lift for, what we had been used to, coming off starting, JBoss and stuff and deploying to, VMs locally. Definitely wouldn't have been the easiest container or easiest solution at that point in time, but it might be now. I don't know.
This is so crazy. Like I'm just doing a cursory Google search to make just to see what else is out there. I guess you'd think there's got to be something that's just Docker. Every single thing on here. Like I've just visited 3 different articles, sites, whatever, and every single one is installing Minikube, installing a Linux virtual machine, or Rancher Desktop, or Micro Kubernetes. That's the other one. Every single one, though, is either Kubernetes or a full-blown Linux VM.
Because
it's so weird. How's that not solved yet?
Well, here's my question. Why can't you just install Containerd and use crycuddle?
So that's what I started. I did start to go down that route, and same thing with right. You'd use Containerd because Dockerd just used that under the hood. But is that a viable solution? I can't remember how far I got, but
that doesn't work on Windows or Linux or on Mac, does it?
I don't remember.
Doesn't run on Mac. Shit, you're right. Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, is K3s virtualizing its Containerd? I guess it might. I guess it is. Look at Victor's all over the place. This is my favorite. It's like, should we replace? I love it. Always do this. Just should we replace it? Yes. He was ahead. Okay. So that's what I got.
I think you guys are using the two most popular solutions. Your screen shares are down, just so you know.
Cool. Yeah, so I still ran into, so I mean, my specific use case of enterprise, I'm working on Windows, I don't have super rights. I was like, I tried this out on my Mac, full admin, I'm on a Mac. Brew installed, it worked, and it was great. I tried it on Windows. I was able to figure out how to get minikube downloaded, but then I couldn't start it up. So I was like, I'm sure I can, raise a ticket, but it's like I just was hoping for the optimal solution of, install and run.
I'm gonna try to tackle this, I think, tomorrow. I'll do that as part of my workday. I will uninstall Docker Desktop and choose one of these solutions. I don't know which one yet.
I mean, it seems like the Rancher desktop is better because you essentially could just do what I did if you just clicked on the Docker, like run Docker D, and use your Docker CLI.
I don't know.
That was the vibe I got.
I kind of like the minikube solution just because I understand it. I'm used to it. I dealt with it for a long time. I understand what the eval is doing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The other thing is, if you're just looking for a solution to run containers locally, maybe that is better. But, we like K3S. So if we're talking about, I don't know, it looks like it would have some niceties pre-installed for your Kubernetes cluster locally. But I don't know. I usually don't test too much of that kind of stuff. I'm not going to run 5 services and need a service mesh and need all that extra. So again, it's like, Minikube's probably.
We used to, though. Remember? We would deploy an entire web service chain locally. That was awesome. Good days. I miss them. We were so big brain. Okay, well, I feel like we've exhausted the topic. It's a little bit short of a stream today, but I don't think we need to talk just to fill time.
I'm pretty sure we covered everything there is to talk about Docker daemons.
Yeah.
At least what we know,
Right.
which is not a lot. We know a couple.
I think we covered what is relevant to an everyday DevOps engineer.
Yep.
As a part of the Docker desktop replacement licensing change.
Yeah. These are the two most viable low friction solutions. If you don't know let's say you don't know what you're doing. You install Docker desktop just like like everybody did when you didn't know what you were doing. You just run it. These are the other two buttons that you can click to just get access to stuff. So. Yeah.
And again, approaching this problem was all from the enterprise point of view. If I'm just, doing my own thing, I'm sure you could just go to Google Cloud Shell and because that's a Linux box, I believe. So, you might have lighter weight, easier solutions. I don't know.
I feel like it also should be mentioned that if you are just doing your own thing, you can just use Docker Desktop.
It's fair enough. Fair enough. Yep. If you're small team, education, go for it.
But at the same time, when you go work for somebody, hopefully that ain't gonna be there. So yeah, you can keep putting it off, or you can just install one of these things and follow Victor's video, follow Minikube, tried and trusted for years. Probably should start going there.
I like
Unless
it.
you have a good lawyer. First, it's always free, baby. Don't take the red pill. Don't follow Morpheus down the Docker desktop path. You do not want to go there. Actually, the red pill would be minikube. Just get into Kubernetes right away.
It's on. I guess the last anecdote I have to share. Minikube. It was when we went to KubeCon in New York. I went to a breakout session on Minikube, and one of the big topics was making Minikube faster and lighter.
Mm-hmm.
So that was years ago. I mean, what, New York KubeCon was 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
I get confused. I think that was Velocity New York and KubeCon Seattle.
Oh, maybe it was KubeCon Seattle then.
I think KubeCon Seattle was 18. It was right after I got married. And then New York was 17.
So 3-4 years, whatever. In that range, they were doing it. So let's say 4 years has gone by. I don't know. Maybe they implemented the changes. So maybe Minikube is lighter. Because I know Rancher, awesome product, great tool. But one of its selling points is also one of its cons in that it gives you all the bells and whistles up front. It makes all the decisions and it packages it all together and says, hey, here's our product, which is great. It really is great. Installing K3S on our Raspberry Pi cluster, I didn't have to do anything. I just installed it and I have everything I need. It's great. But for this use case, I don't know what Rancher Desktop comes with. If it is a full-blown thing with all the niceties, it might be heavier. But this is just speculation. I do not know.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it on my Mac, like it's not doing much idle, so that's good. I feel like Docker Desktop just hoses my I really have to uninstall it. It's always the top. Yeah, you were talking about the battery sucking ability of it. It's good at that. Whatever it's good at is chewing through your battery. Seems pretty quiet. There's one personal anecdote. Machine's not taking off yet, but I'm also not doing anything. So. Yeah,
okay.
Your mileage may vary.
Well, that's all I got. So we will be back next week with another stream. It could be a special stream. We are preparing. Our team is preparing a very special stream. Whether that will be prepared next week or not is yet to be seen, but we are targeting next week for the stream. We are preparing an events stream. So up to this point, we've been talking pretty much only DevOps, only Kubernetes related things. We do more than that. So we're going to break out into more things that you would do in Kubernetes in a DevOps cloud native environment, such as eventing. We're going to talk Java. We're going to talk about web services. Our stream is going to grow and the content is going to be diverse and highly educational.
Talk about Java.
Java.
However,
Microservice event outbox.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for joining again today. Appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. And we'll see you next time.
See you next
This was
time.
the Cloud Native Coffee Hour. Click that subscribe button.
GG.
All right. GG. Bye, guys.